Hi, I'm Jerry Farmer, and thanks for watching The Matt Dollar Show.
Hi, today on the Matt Dollar Show, we're taking you on an exciting journey with my good friend Jerry Farmer with Fishing with Jerry Farmer. So come with us.
Hey folks, I'm here today to walk you through taking kids fishing for the first time. And what my goal here is to make it a successful outing and a successful trip, and to make it as safe as possible. Too many times I've noticed that people are out fishing and nobody's catching anything and the kids aren't happy. So I set on a trail, on a path, to find out what I could do to help people in order to make it a very successful trip. So I'm going to start out with what I think is the most important thing about having a successful trip when you go fishing. And the very first thing is this right here. The life of our kids is way more valuable than the inconvenience of wearing a life jacket. So when I climb in the boat with kids, they will have their life jacket on, and I will have my life jacket on, and I will not take it off the whole trip. That just ensures the safety feature, and a great trip is everybody comes home. The next most important thing when you take your first fishing trip is sunscreen. I've seen, I don't know how many times, people walking down the street and they look like a big red lobster. And they make something that prevents that. So get a good sunscreen, make sure you apply it at the start of the trip, and if the kids go swimming or get out in the lake, make sure it's reapplied after that. Let's come home and not be laying in the bed in total agony because you've had a sunburn. The other thing, next most important, is some first aid. Some Bactine, some Band-Aids, some alcohol wipes, swabs. You can purchase first aid kits for about $8 or $10 and pretty much has everything you need for a day outing. But have that first aid kit there. You never know when you'll get a cut, a bee sting, or something like that. So be very aware that you do need a first aid kit to get out there and to have a successful trip. The next thing I want to bring up are sunglasses. When the sun's out shining, you need eye protection. But you also need eye protection because you've got hooks and rods and reels. All kinds of things could get in your eye. So not only for sun protection, but from protection from casting and reeling and those type of hazards. So sunglasses, life jackets, first aid kits, a pair of good cutters. You need some cutters because you're going to be cutting fishing line, retying. I have these hooked on me. I have several pairs just laying around in the boat. You need to have something to cut the line with. You can use fingernail clippers, but they will rust over time. A pair of pliers. You need to have a good pair of pliers when you go fishing. Sometimes you extract hooks from the fish with pliers. When we actually get to the lake, I've got a little thing that I make to get the hooks out of bluegill with, panfish. But a pair of pliers, that'll come in very, very handy. This is a designated hook extractor, and it works really well, but typically doesn't work that well with bluegill because it's got such a big barrel it won't go down in their mouth. But you need pliers and a hook extractor. The next thing you need to do, especially if you're taking kids that are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, you need to take them some toys. You need to take them something to play with. If it's girls, this is for the grandkids. They dig around in the bank sometimes when we get out on the bank, and they look through the rocks, and they've got a little magnifying glass so they can look at the bugs. So take some toys. If it's boys, take some footballs. Take some a baseball, something you can toss back and forth. Because the first fishing trip you take with your kids, it's about the kids. And they may get bored. They may get distracted from fishing. And at that point in time, it's time to play. Make their first trip absolutely, totally enjoyable for the kids and not for you. This is about the kids, all about the kids. The next thing I want to talk about is that cooler. You need to fill it full of drinks. I even got me one out this morning. When you're out there in the sun, you have to stay hydrated. I'm sweating right now and it's not that hot, but you have to stay hydrated. So make sure you have a cooler that's full of drinks that they like to drink, along with some water, some soft drinks, whatever you want, but make sure that you have something to drink on hand, and plenty of it. The other thing in preparing to go fishing is snacks. And my snacks are in that box over there. I'm not going to drag them out and show them to you, but I do have plenty of snacks in my boat. I've got peanut butter cookies, I've got potato chips, I've got Vienna sausage, I've got beanie weenies, I've got baked beans. So take plenty of food. You can also pack some sandwich meats and some breads, and you can use your cooler to make sandwiches and kind of have a little picnic out there. Make that part of your experience and part of the day to help the kids have a great time. This can also be done from the bank, and that's something that we will discuss later, but I will describe how you can be successful by fishing from the bank. You don't have to have a boat. You don't have to have a lot of money. Fishing can be done on the cheap. So I will explain as time goes on about how to have a successful trip while you're from the bank, and what to look for in trying to find a bank you can go to and fish and have a great time. So this covers this end of it, the stuff you're going to take. Clothes to wear, loose clothes, loose fitting clothes, stuff that breathes really well. For the kids, you may want to even put them in some swimming trunks. I let my grandkids swim. South Holst is a really clean lake. But one thing I want to talk about, and this is very important, is a good pair of water shoes. I'll take this one off. A good pair of water shoes. Please, guys, don't let your kids start wading around the bank barefoot. People absolutely don't clean up after themselves. And when the lake goes down in the fall, during the fall drawdown, if you walk out along the banks, you'll see all the shivers of glass and pieces of glass that are out there in the water. So when the kids are wading, they need to have a good pair of water shoes on to protect them from getting cut. And that's one of my rules. I wear water shoes year round. I even wear them in the wintertime because my feet don't get all that cold. But I wear water shoes all the time, and I'm not really wading a lot, but I do step out of the boat on occasion, and so just to protect myself, I've been a big proponent of some kind of water shoe, and I'm not talking about flip-flops. Flip-flops aren't the greatest thing in the world. They're okay in the boat, but when you get out of the boat and into the lake, flip-flops just don't want to stay on your feet. So you need a good water shoe, something that will stay on your feet when you're splashing and kicking around so they won't fall off. So let's see, we've covered first aid, we've covered sunscreen, the life jacket, the cooler, the toys that you want to take, and some of the tools that you want to incorporate into your bag. If you fish from the bank, I suggest you just throw all this stuff in a backpack. So now, we're going to step up here and we're going to look at the equipment that you can use to bluegill fish with. And this is pretty much just a pan fishing show. We're just going to be talking about catching bluegill. Bluegill panfish are the greatest fish in the world. Most of the time, especially during warm weather, they are just willing to bite. They're fun to catch, and it's not a big issue for me to go out with the girls and catch 100 fish in a day. So I'm not bragging, I'm just saying that's how available they are. They're like any other fish, however. If you're in the wrong place, you're not going to get very many bites. If you find the right place, you'll get a lot of bites. So when we get on the water and take our trip, I'll kind of walk you through what bluegill look for in terms of structure and cover, and what kind of banks they typically use, and how to look for those things. And also I will point out places that if you don't have a boat, you'll be able to take your kids and still have a very successful trip. So we're going to move up here to the front of the boat now, and I'm probably just going to climb on in the boat, and we will continue on with our tackle, talk about that a little bit. I'm going to walk on the other side. Hey guys, one thing I want to mention before I get in the boat and show you the tackle is another important piece of equipment is rain gear. You can try your best to plan for no rain, but in case a rainstorm comes up, you need to have some rain gear. And I've got everything from very expensive to extremely cheap. This is just a little PVC jacket for the girls to throw on in case of a rain. So be sure to have some rain gear. I also have an umbrella in the boat over there that I carry. Just in case it pops up, you can always raise the umbrella and keep the rain off everybody for a little while. Sometimes kids, isn't a big deal. They don't care if they get wet, especially if they've been swimming. But just remember, some rain gear may save the day for you. So I'm getting in the boat now, and I'm going to go through equipment. So I'm going to start out with the least expensive way to fish. Now, back when I was a kid, this was called the cane pole. Nowadays, because of fiberglass, we can have a fiberglass pole. And this one happens to be 10 feet long. And this is one of the rods that I actually used when I've taken kids fishing from the bank. I used to do church groups, and I would take them to the Steels Creek, and they would meet. I've got about 20-25 of these, and would actually let them fish off the bank, and had very successful trips out there to Steels Creek, I might add. Very, very, very simple. What you do with the cane pole is, don't really use a reel. You just tie your line through this hole, tie you a nice knot right here. This is a 10-foot rod, so you make the end of the line about 9 feet, tie your hook on, put your bobber on, put your bait on, and that's what you use to catch fish. We'll actually demonstrate this when we get out in the boat. We'll actually use this for a few fish. I think my girls that were taken on the lake, they both caught fish and been fishing before. But we'll give you an idea of what you need to do for that first time. But this is cheap. You can buy one of these on sale for $10, $11, $12. You could get a spool line, and I'm getting ready to go through all the baits that you need. So for cheap, you can actually go fishing pretty cheap, and you can actually catch fish from the bank with this as well.
So basically $20 you could have that little setup to start.
$20 you could go fishing. $20 you could go fishing. Or if you find one, you can find these in yard sales and at the flea market and stuff. But for cheap, you can also move up to a frozen outfit like this. Now, a lot of people think that I mean, this is a kid's outfit, and I tell you, I'd hate to tell you how many bluegill have been caught on this outfit right here. Hundreds have been caught on this little rod and reel right here. It's amazing. It's good enough for bluegill, but I don't know. It seems like I paid $15 for this outfit or something for a Christmas present. But this is kind of a starting outfit to throw. My biggest objection with these rods are the rods are fairly short. For a kid to start out, you don't need a big long rod, but certainly a little more leverage would be more beneficial. But actually, at day's end, this will catch bluegill. I've actually caught bluegill on this. It's called a spin casting reel. Here's a little bit higher end version of a spin casting reel with a little bit longer rod, and this outfit is a little more conducive for beginning fishermen. The price starts to go up a little bit on these reels. As you can see right here, they kind of put a little heart on here, and they put a peace sign, and she wrote her name right here. So let the kids, let them do what they want to. If they want to magic marker them up or pretty them up, that's just part of the allure to get them to go fishing. But these reels are fairly simple. You push a button and you cast it, and when it gets in the cast zone that you want to let it go, you just let off the button and the line feeds out, and then you crank it in and reel it in. These are called spin cast reels, just as this is a spin cast reel. These are the most user-friendly reels out there, and I would typically suggest starting kids out with these if they've not fished before, if you're going to use a reel. But before you take them to the lake, let me give you a little heads up. All you parents, all you people that are going to take them fishing, learn how to use this first. You need to know how to use it. These reels do mess up. You do have to get inside of them and fix things on occasion. You need to know what you're doing. You need to know how they operate. You need to be able to fix them. If money's not a problem, one of my biggest suggestions is buy two. Let the kids fish with one. The other one's a backup, and when they mess their reel up, hand them the one that's not messed up while you fix what's wrong with the one that does mess up. That way you keep them fishing and they don't get frustrated. Now, my big choice in reels and rods, and I like to graduate kids as quickly as possible, are spinning reels. And the thing about spinning reels, and I've got this one tangled up here with this other rod, the thing about spinning reels is they're the most versatile reel all around. And I say that because this reel not only will catch bluegill, but you can catch bass. You can catch every species of fish that swims in the water can be caught on a spinning reel. Won't say that about the spin cast reels, but this is a quality reel. This reel costs about 60 or 70 bucks. This little rod's not very expensive because it's a bluegill rod. But the spinning reel, in order to use the spinning reel, and I'll demonstrate this later, there are some issues that can happen when you're fishing with a spinning reel. Nothing major, but again, the parents, the guardians, they need to learn how to use this first. My suggestion is always is don't take the kids first. If you're not really sure how to fish, go through and practice the things that I tell you to do. Go to the lake by yourself. Go with somebody that knows how to fish if you can, and learn to use these reels and rods properly. Then you can teach your kids. When I was a kid, my dad and I kind of grew up fishing together. Dad hadn't fished a whole lot, but he'd fished some. But he was able to help and straighten me out when I would get messed up. And kids will mess these up when they first start. So learn the reels. You can go on YouTube. You can see how to straighten out different things, and we will show you some things as we go along. Now, these reels are, I custom wrapped these rods These are the reels that I use. This is my outfit here. A little bit longer, and these are old rods that I repurposed and put handles on them and made them specifically bluegill rods. And they're spinning reels again. And I have a rod box full of spinning reels that I have used in tournaments over the years. So the spinning reel, being as versatile as it is, as quickly as you can graduate the kids to using them and get away from the spin cast reels or the cane poles, if they show a preponderance to go fishing, if they really, really, really like fishing, I would graduate them as quickly as possible to the spinning reels. You can get spinning rods and reels. You can get combo sets for $15 to $20. So it doesn't have to be real expensive. But as they move forward in their fishing experience, I suggest that you get them better quality equipment, because that equipment will last them. These reels will last for years and gives just super experience and pride of ownership. A lot of times kids, girls, they like different colors, so you match colors to whatever they like. I wrapped this rod up for me with a little orange and chartreuse on it. I wrapped this rod up for my wife, and it's got a little pink and teal on it. So so what I'm going to do now is, this is her rod. This is the rod and reel she uses, and it needs to be rigged. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you how to rig this rod here in just a minute. I'm going to set it down right there. The next thing I'm going to show you is the tackle that you need. Now, a lot of people, when they think pan fishing and bluegill fishing, they immediately think of crickets and worms and mealworms and wax worms. Well, I have found something that far surpasses all of those baits. And this company doesn't give me any money. I'm not sponsored by anybody. But the greatest, the best panfish bait that I have ever seen is called a Power Honeyworm. And they come in 3 different colors. And I don't think color makes one bit of difference. But they come in 3 colors, and they're so easy to use. The kids can learn to put these on their hooks. They're not trying to chase a cricket down or get a worm that's wiggling and go, "Ooh, I'm sticking a hook in a worm that's wiggling, Mommy." No, they can use these, and I swear, honestly, in all truth, I believe they bite this better than they do live bait. Of course, Berkley will tell you that it does, but I'm telling you, I've been using these for 2 years now. And that's all I take. This is my box. This is the box that I take. This is all the tackle you need to go fishing. Your honey worms, your floats, and your hooks. I like trout magnet jig heads. They're 1/64 of an ounce. And for summertime bluegill fishing, they work perfectly. They come in different colors, and I have different colors. And once again, I don't think color really matters. Pink, girls like pink, and chartreuse. But this pack of hooks, these bobbers, and these baits, I can fish all summer and still have baits left over. In fact, this one is from last year, and we still have several left in it. So now I'm going to go through, and I'm going to show you how to rig this rod and rig this so that you can be successful while you're out fishing. Okay, folks, before we can rig an outfit up to go fishing, you first have to learn how to tie a knot. And I've got one knot, and it's just the only knot you need to go fishing the first time. It's called a clinch knot. So I'm using a bigger jig here, and I'm using a bigger line. I hope y'all can see this. But you start out, you run the line through the eye of the hook, There it is. You're gonna pin it down right here. Hold it. You're gonna come here and wrap this around the other line, the main line that's going to your reel. You're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When you're there, you're gonna run it back through that little loop that you left right there. And then for just a straight clean box. So here's our little jig head, 1/64, and we're gonna tie our clinch knot. If my old 65-year-old hands will let me do it, we're gonna run it through the jig head. We're gonna pin it right here, just like I did before. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're gonna run it back through this hole that was created at the front of it right here. We're going to reach up and hold it with this hand. Going to wet that. We're going to pull it down there tight. So that's your clinch knot. We're going to take our cutters that I keep on my side. We're going to cut that off. Okay, so we've got our 2 bobber stops on, and we've got our jig head. Get bobbers that big around, but I prefer the smaller bobbers. As long as they hold up the bait. You're going to go between these 2 bobber stoppers. You're going to separate them. You're going to open up your little floaters that I like to use. They open. They have a place on the top to open them, but I don't like to pin the top and the bottom. I like to let them free float, so I just pin the bottom. So typically when I'm bluegill fishing, I usually start out about 3 feet, and that's 3 feet, right to the center of my chest. I'm 6 feet tall, so that's 6 feet. So I usually just start out right in that 3 foot range, and I just hook my bobber on. And you're now ready to go fishing. All right, guys, let's go.